Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We had started the discussion on Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and we spoke a little bit about the ba of Bismillah and the word ism. Allah, whose name we are taking in Bismillah, there are many aspects to discuss the word itself, the word Allah. For example, we could talk about, is it derived from something or not, from an Arabic perspective. So regarding this, there are two schools of thought. According to one group of Imams of Lugha and Tafsir, this word is not derived from anything. It is what is called jamid. It always was and remains like this. And they have many reasons for this. One of the reasons they say is that to say that it was derived from something would be implying that there was something that the name of Allah is taken from, even though Allah's existence is absolute, it's not subject to anything else. And they have some other arguments as well. However, there is also a large number of Imams of Lugha and of Tafsir who say that the word itself is derived. It does not mean that Allah Azza wa Jal has His existence reliant on something else. Rather, this is a word that was given to His makhluk to mention Him by. And of course, all makhluk came after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then what is the origin of this word? Regarding this, there are three opinions that are found. One is that it's from alaha or aliha. And alaha, ya'lahu, means for something to become attached to something, in the meaning of wali'a. And this is like how a baby is attached to its mother, and how it clings on to the chest of its mother. This is one meaning. The other is from walaha. And walaha means for someone to be completely bewildered. And the bewilderment in regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be that the mind is bewildered in trying to understand Him. The mind is bewildered by the powerful signs that He has scattered throughout the universe. And the mind is bewildered by His power and His might. In the first case, it was from alaha or aliha, the attachment to people, that He is the one that everyone needs to be attached to, or He is the one towards whom everyone's heart really goes to in their time of need. And the last one, the last derivation or root that is mentioned is laha. Laha layhan, laha yaluhu, and laha yalahu layhan. And this is more about protection and defense and so on and so forth. So based on the ishtiqaq, based on the root that they are deriving the word from, then Allah would be originally al-ilah, if you were to take it from hamza, lam and ha. And the origin would be al-wilah if you were to derive it from waw, lam and ha. And it would be al-lah, which would be a masdar in this case, if you were to derive it from lam, waw, ha, or lam, ya, ha. And based on the rules of sarf, a modification as is made in the words of Arabic would be made. So al-ilah then it was amalgamated. Normally it would not be amalgamated, but this is something specific to the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Ismul Jalala. So al-ilah became Allah. And it is one of the special characteristics of this word, that it is the only word in the Arabic language, the lam of which is pronounced with what we call tafkhim. In other words, the thick lam is pronounced Allah. It is incorrect to say Allah. You cannot say that. Yes, if it is preceded by a kasra, then it could be lillah. That is the only time where tarqiq of the lam, to say it in a thin way, like every other lam in the Arabic language is pronounced. lillah, would apply to that. Otherwise, as long as there's a fatha or a dhamma before it, it would be Allah. And we are, on one side from the tajweed aspect, we are required to pronounce it like this, but also because it is a special characteristic of the word Allah, and there is no other lam like this in the Arabic language, we are actually required to recite it like this out of ta'zeem, out of reverence for the name of Ismul Jalala, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it would be incorrect from a tajweed perspective, but it would also be incorrect from an adab perspective, from a dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perspective, to say it so lightly, to say Allah. Now, Aisha radiallahu anha mentions that the first bid'ah, according to Imam Bayhaqi rahimahullah, in Kitab al-Asma'i wal-Sifat, that the first bid'ah that came into the world is that people stopped taking the name of Allah with respect and with reverence. This was the first innovation. When people stopped taking the name of Allah with reverence, then the grandeur of Allah and the grandeur of the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jal also started leaving the hearts of mankind. So we should pronounce it with a great deal of reverence whenever we do. In this case, because it is preceded with a kasra, so we would say Bismillah, we would not say Bismillah, because there is a kasra before it. So to say it that way would be incorrect. Bismillah. Now, Allah is what we call Ismul Alam. It is the proper name for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word Allah is not a descriptor. It is not something describing Allah. It is the proper name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why this word cannot be used for anything else. There are other names of Allah which are attributes such as Rahim and Ra'uf. These are descriptors, these are words that describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and some of His attributes, and they have been used for makhluk, they have been used for people as well. Allah Azza wa Jal, this name cannot be used, has not been used, and may not be used for anyone else. Because it is a Ismul Alam, there is a discussion from the Nahu perspective about the two other sifat that come after this. We'll talk about that in another discussion. However, if Allah, the word Allah is the Ism Alam, the proper name for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what exactly does it mean? Or does it just represent Allah? So in the books of Aqeedah, what is mentioned is when we say the word Allah, what are we talking about? Who are we referring to? It's Adhat al-Wajib al-Wujud al-Mustajmi' li jami'i sifat al-Kamal. It is that existence, that which is necessarily existent. It is necessarily existent. Wajib al-Wujud means it is not possible to imagine a universe without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is not possible that there be a universe in which there is no Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, His existence is absolutely necessary from every aspect, including the intellectual and logical aspect. It is not possible to imagine a world or a universe without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So His being and His existence is absolutely necessary. And He possesses all the traits and attributes of perfection. All the traits and attributes of perfection belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we talk about Alhamdulillah and so on and so forth, we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. So this is a very brief and short discussion on the word Allah, and we will continue this in the future sessions, inshaAllah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in.